Okay, welcome to the channel. I know it's been a little while since I put a video out. It's been zoo, but there's been some interesting developments this week. I'd like to share them with you. This won't be a long video, but I just want to get you guys up to speed on what's been going on. Everyone's got their daily struggles. We won't go into that, but there has been some interesting developments and even some interesting articles that I want to share with everybody. So there's six things really, and we'll talk about them briefly. Is about my test bench, the OfficeRig, the 50 series GPU woes continue. There was a survey. There's another GPU on the horizon, Zeus. Has anybody heard of this? Looks pretty interesting. And what is coming up on the horizon? So first, I want to talk a little bit about the test bench. I've been doing some GPU testing with the 30 series, but I was using a bunch of my other systems. The test bench has been sort of on the fritz. The i9-14900K that was in the test bench with that ASRock motherboard, there's been some power flickerings and some power outages, and I just thought the board got zapped. Well, I haven't retested that board exactly. I went ahead and purchased another Gigabyte board. I was replacing components to figure out what the issue was. Turns out that I never really addressed the real issue because it trashed my SSD and all of the data and configurations for the test bench. And I had a backup, and I thought I had it all squared away, and then I plugged the backup in to move that data back over to the SSD. It trashed the backup drive. We'll talk about the data woes here in a minute, but it ended up being CPU contact, the pads on the back of the CPU. There looks like, and I don't think anybody will be swapping out CPUs and making the changes that I've been making with this CPU and board. Many times as I've taken it out of the socket, put it back in, applied liquid metal, applied paste, swapped out coolers, heat spreaders. It has just been continual bombardment with this CPU, just trying to evaluate different coolers and setups. All of that stuff's published. The data's out there. If you haven't checked that out, please do. But I think that added to the contact pad wear, and it was causing the CPU to get flaky. In addition to that, I was sometimes not always using the onboard graphics, but wanting to take advantage of GPUs and do some other testing with the 30 series that I had at the time. And I come to find out that the GPU riser cable also flaked out on me. So when I replaced the GPU riser cable with PCI 5 like I have in my OfficeRig, I could use my external GPUs fine, but it was still flaky. And I think it was dual related. So this is what it looked like when I realized there might be an issue. If you can see right there, that's supposed to be gold plated. And so I contacted Northwest Repair. He had done some work for me already, worked really hard. I was really impressed with his work, even though the first CPU was a no repair. I sent this to him to see, because I didn't even realize he could replace the gold plating he tried on the other one. I didn't even know that was a thing when I saw the video. And when I saw this particular quote unquote, I think it was damage, I asked if he would take a peek and give it a once over and see what he thinks needs to be done to it, sort of to rejuvenate the contact surfaces. And it looks like he did get some work done. And we went ahead and tried to pop that back in the socket. It's not perfect, but the speed is there. It was a little flaky at first. I think it settled out. The onboard graphics are no longer, but the CPU is usable as long as you're using a video card. That's where I'm at thus far. Unless it completely flakes out on me within the next week, which I'm putting it through its paces since I got it back now. But I've only had it for a couple days that I've had it in and tried to use it. And so far, so good. I was finally able to set up the test bench again, put the data back on it, and I guess you've seen that I've used all of these different systems in some of my videos. The OfficeRig, the test bench, the SimRig, the penthouse, what I call the penthouse system, and then the Office TV, which that is basically just that small build to run the behind graphics and everything. So not a big build there. But all of these have been on my channel at one point in time or another, and I've realized if these systems go down, or if I start more GPU testing or other comparison videos and keep swapping things out, changing drivers, what happens if they get on the fritz and I end up losing all of that data? So I miss Ghost. I guess I'm old enough that my I've always really been into computer hardware. I used to live and work in Nashville, Tennessee, in the surrounding area, and was running computer store. There was a gentleman that owned a 3 different computer stores, and I would bounce around from different ones, and they quickly realized that I could put the systems together quicker than all of their other people at the different stores, and so they just moved all of the system builds to me, and putting the hardware together was easy. And all I had to do was figure out how they wanted to configure the software, and I made a Ghost image. Perfect. And I don't know if that would still work. I've got old copies, but you know how like the fat tables and the limitations on drive size, and I don't know if this would still work for me. I should probably try it, but I was on the hunt for different imaging software, and I would like to make image files and then save all of the images for all the different systems. But the only thing I'm coming up with is subscription services. And why do you have to have a subscription service for software that I don't understand anymore? I refuse to pay for Adobe subscription service. That's why I use DaVinci Resolve. And it's a great piece of software. But I'm finding that companies are moving to the subscription service. Why? They need residual income. That's why. But why do we have to continue? Like for maybe one system, and you want to spend an annual price for one, but that's not a good plan for me when you've got 6, 7 different systems and they're used intermittently and not a continual moneymaker. So I say moneymaker. I'd like to make some money on this eventually. That would be great, right? But I hope you guys are at least learning and having a good time with this, because, hey man, I'm trying. But I miss Ghost. I wish there was an option. What is everybody out there using? Put in the comments I've looked at a couple different ones, but I really don't want a subscription service. Give me another idea. There's got to be something out there that I can use. So right now I've realized that I just need to stick with Samsung. I've got the Pros in most of my systems, and I'm buying plus SSDs and other SSDs that I already own. That Pro on top was the OfficeRig Pro, and I just basically ordered a 4 terabyte and swapped some data over. So I had a 1 and a 2, and I made the 2 my main drive and put a 4 in as my secondary drive for all of my video editing and storage. And so the main system then still fits on a 1 terabyte. So I'm using the Samsung Magician software to make clone drives. And I guess I'm just going to tuck them away. And God forbid, now that I've spent the money on cloning drives, I'm never going to need them. But that's okay, I guess, because I've spent a good day and a half trying to get my test bench back up and running, testing the CPU, making sure the configuration is still stable, and then putting it back to the way that it was. As soon as I got it, everything updated, and then I wanted to immediately make an image of it. But if anybody out there has got better ideas, better solutions, please share. I'd love to hear what other people are doing. Oh, the days of Ghost. So we'll be talking more about the 50 series GPUs. They must be made of unobtainium. I've been wanting to get into more 40 series, 50 series, and adding to my data and testing and productivity. I've missed out. It's you think you're going to be able to get product. They launch something new. You think you ought to be able to buy it at some point. We're several months in, maybe one of these days I'll be able to get started with that. If there's people out there that still want to see it, I mean, it's a huge outlay of cash. I certainly hope people are finding value in this information that I'm providing. If there's something specific that you would like to see, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I would like to give you guys what you want to see in terms of computer hardware. But the OfficeRig did get a power upgrade. So I did have a Corsair RM850X. And when I was first building it, I thought, well, 850, why would I need more than an 850? And I quickly realized that any of the new GPUs that I want to try to put in there, I should give myself some headroom. Don't run everything right at max capacity. That's not very healthy, and that's not a good plan. So I went with the Be Quiet Straight Power 12. That was a 1200 watt power supply that is platinum rated. I've had it in the system now for maybe 4 hours. We're working on it right now. Seems to be pretty stable, pretty nice unit. I'll let you know if I have any issues with it moving along, but this should give me plenty of headroom, no matter what GPU that I decide to get my hands on and put here. The 50 series GPU is no surprise. I've been looking for a 5080 or a 5090 Founders since the launch, really, and really looking forward. I'm not really excited about the MSRP values, but as I've put out in multiple videos and other content creators have said, the prices just keep going up. And it's concerning because not only are prices going up, you still can't get them. And I'm looking at Micro Center. There was an evening where there were a couple 5080s, and I've never seen a 5090 available in stock in a Micro Center, but I keep seeing people walk out of Micro Centers with 5080s and 5090s. And so they won't ship, and they don't hold anything, and I'm way too far away to just randomly take a drive and go see what's going on. I got too much to do. It would be great to walk in there and find a Founders 5090 for $19.99, because then I actually would be excited. I never thought I would say I'd be excited to spend $2,000 on a GPU, but here we are. The MSRP is not really the MSRP, and the partner cards are all, or mostly, are elevated. I've searched a few different places just for places that will actually ship cards, and one of the places I've kept my eye on was Best Buy, and there's others I'm looking at and on alerts, and send me when you have availability. And it's a ghost town. I mean, these cards must not be coming in. But one evening there, I went on their site and I realized Best Buy in my area said that there was a PNY that was still $9.99, and that there was a Gigabyte card. So they listed the PNY for $9.99 and the Gigabyte Gaming OC. I first clicked on the Gigabyte Gaming OC. Bill Zoid from Actually Hardcore Overclocking said that when he was reviewing the 5080 boards, that he liked the build quality of the Gigabyte over the PNY, and that's why I sort of clicked on it first. Maybe that was what I was supposed to hear, because I was able to actually put the Gigabyte in my cart. It took some finagling. I said, well, let's see what happens. It's 1:30 in the morning. I need to get some sleep. Let's do a final check, end of the day, start of the next day, and was going through my sites. Came to Best Buy, and those two cards had different labeling. It said something like more info or instead of out of stock. I'll put the screenshots up on the screen for you. But when I clicked on the Gigabyte, it made you log in. It made you, prove that it's you, and then said no, that you can't drive anywhere and pick it up. I'm like, I understand that. Like, back out in, go back in, and for whatever reason, I got lucky and it let me put it in the cart and check out. And I'm I don't know that I'm excited about it. I mean, when I check it, it's we're 72 hours later and they haven't canceled the order. So I guess there's that. Are they just holding onto my money and get a little bit of interest before they tell me I'm sorry, we don't have stock. Best of luck next time. I don't know, but they say we'll let you know when it's ready to pick up at your local Best Buy, and it's about a 10-day wait. I don't know why it takes that long. Maybe there truly was a card and I got it. I don't know, but the price is definitely not MSRP. Um, but I need a water block for the card. If this is going to be the card in the OfficeRig, I honestly I kind of wanted the 50. If I was going to do this, I wanted the 5090 Founders Edition, and then Thermal Grizzly was working on a prototype Founders Edition water block. EK says they're working on one too. I would rather buy from Thermal Grizzly. That would have been my ultimate setup. But maybe, as luck would have it, that this is the card that I now have. I mean, it's not like you have a lot of options, right? So I guess this might be my card. But I do, because I water cool everything, I do want a water block for this. So I'm not sure who makes a water block. I've started looking for it. I know PNY has a person making water blocks for it, but I don't see anything for Gigabyte. So if you know who is, if I just overlooked it, let me know who makes a water block for the Gigabyte 5080 OC Gaming. As nice as the air coolers are, I don't care. I'm going to water cool it. I water cool everything. So if anyone can help, please let me know. But with all the frustrations that surrounds the uh, the launch, and this is not just an NVIDIA launch. Apparently, as optimistic as I was for AMD, and they did have much more stock, and people were there was actually supply, much better than what NVIDIA says. And I know NVIDIA put out some statement that they've shipped out more cards than they did for the 40 series, but they've also released more cards of the 50 series at the same amount of time that they did previously for the 40 series. They went months at a time before releasing another card. And then they just release a bunch of cards for the 50 series, but it doesn't really matter because you can't get any of them anyway. They're not available. So, the whatever the claims they're saying, that there's just not a lot of supply. And I'm not sure that we needed a survey to let people realize how frustrated we are, because I believe that we're all pretty frustrated. I mean, maybe I'm frustrated because I don't live close enough to a micro center, but why aren't they being supplied to other places that actually ship cards? I don't know. Anyway, I don't think we needed a survey to prove that we're all frustrated with the current situation of not only NVIDIA, but to some degree AMD. I mean, there's still issues with supply across the board. And for the most part, 1 in 5 gamers are fed up with AMD and NVIDIA's new GPUs. They no longer want to buy one. Apparently, 19% of respondents wanted to buy an RX 9070 or a 50 series GPU, but couldn't, and have now lost interest. It doesn't really surprise me. I mean, if I wasn't trying to do the YouTube testing and put out content, I I don't know that I would even bother changing up from a 3090. My 3090 still runs everything that I want it to run, and most of the games that I'm trying to play and tease around with in terms of just looking at the performance of the card, I could turn settings down and play it 60 frames per second or higher just fine. Um, but that's not what people want to hear. They don't want to. They don't really want to hear that the 30 series is still a valid card, and just let the rest of them go. Because if you're an enthusiast, that's not going to be your stance. And I'm not sure that, I've had views on my 30 series. So thank you for those that are following and the views that are there. But it's not like a million people are watching and liking the video because they believe that they're not going to change from a 30 series. No, people would like to upgrade. But if you've got a 30 series or a 40 series, I'm kind of trying to prove to you that don't worry about it. Wait, don't pay these scalper prices. Don't pay all of this money. But I totally understand the frustration from people that should have product available when you release something and you still can't get it months later. I didn't see something like this coming for sure. Um, it's just I never would have dreamed it would have been like this, but here we are. And so I don't know how this changes the landscape for future for PC gaming, PC hardware. It doesn't look good, and it's tough to build systems, and this is a challenge. This is a challenge. This is interesting. That's one word to put it. It's a Charlie Foxtrot, is what it is. But this isn't AMD. This isn't NVIDIA. There's a startup. And now this is not their first video card. This company, and I'll post it on the screen, has a product called Zeus. And it beats an RTX 5090 by more than tenfold. Greater than tenfold performance than a 5090. Is this April Fool's? What's today's date? That would be insane. Plus, look at the connector. One 8-pin connector for not many watts to power the card, upgradable memory to amazing numbers. I mean, I'll put the stats on the screen. This card, I mean, if these guys can figure this out, what are these other companies doing? Now, anyway, it doesn't beat the NVIDIA card in every aspect. There's other things that the NVIDIA cards have that this card doesn't. But just raw performance, look at the numbers. The link to this article will be in the description. It's just way too interesting not to at least be informed about it. Let me know what you think. If this really is, so I'm not sure that it'll be a gaming card. They did reference gaming possibilities. How insane would that be? I mean, I would love to have 5090 to begin with. I mean, the 4090 and the 5090 still run anything, everything, are still top dogs. And this card beats it by over tenfold. Look at these numbers. Rendering performance, HPC performance, simulation performance, 300 times faster. I mean, if any of this is remotely true, this card's unbelievable. So we'll see what really happens with this, and if it really is something that is coming our way. If it does, I mean, I can't imagine it's going to be affordable for the end user. I mean, we're probably talking corporate money here. I don't know what the plans are, but if the GPU market has told us anything, it's not going to be available, and we won't be able to afford it. Or maybe it's because they're not AMD or NVIDIA. We actually have the product. I don't know. We'll see. But here's what's on the horizon. The SimRig still has that crazy water loop. I'm going to tame that with a distro plate install and get rid of the external water pump. Clean it up a little bit, but I got to switch it around. I'll go more into that, but the distro plate, I have the ports on the wrong side, so I'll actually have to flip my fan orientation and everything around for best path of the clearance of the lines. Quote-unquote customer build. I was building a PC for a colleague, and that's kind of been put on hold because it's hard to get parts, GPUs. One of the things I did want to bring up is, I don't know if Gamers Nexus would be interested in checking this out, but I think there's something up with Amazon, their affiliate links. I even have affiliate links in many of the listings of my videos, and they record that people are clicking them, but I'm not making any money on them. And they always have an excuse as to why something went wrong. Someone can decide that it wasn't legitimate. I think they're just dreaming this stuff up. But I'm generating revenue for Amazon. The people that are clicking my links are obviously liking the prices enough to get the products they need. And now Amazon doesn't pay the person that directed traffic to them. I mean, if they're not going to allow the money to come my way, why do they let the purchase happen? So they're getting the benefit and they're not paying out. Does anybody else ever have that type of issue? That this was really the only way that I was going to be able to drive any type of revenue at this point, and that would have been at least sufficient to at least have some money coming in. With all the clicks that is on my revenue, they've paid me for one CPU, despite the hundreds of clicks and orders. And they're not paying. It's like what they're supposed to pay you, from what I understand, is 2.5% for electronics and hardware. And it isn't happening. And then they said, well, it needs to be embedded in your video. It needs to be, a link that they click on from your social media. And so then I do that, and they're still not paying me. I'm waiting for another response. Does anybody else have frustrations from Amazon such as this? Any other ideas? Please send them my way. I would like to try to start generating some revenue. Let me know. And then hopefully, if this 5080 actually works out, I will hopefully have more productivity benchmarks coming your way. It'd be nice to start playing with a 50 series card and comparing it with what I've currently have, because I know that from group to group, I've seen some variance in benchmark numbers, and for consistency, I'd like to run other cards through mine. So there is more coming. So thank you for stopping by. Stay tuned. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe. God bless.